Hello, this is Vortex from Tech, and welcome to my T24 carry. So I begin this replay by playing obviously in the T24, and we are on El Haluf, and we are going to come up against a couple of tanks that are going to come around this corner eventually. Initially, I'm quite sort of skeptical about what I'm going to come across. I'm quite hesitant in the early gameplay, which is kind of a misplay here, but like I get a couple of lucky shots off towards a couple of tanks that come around this corner eventually. But I'm constantly kind of wary about this Panzer IV on this corner up here, because that's quite a dangerous location for me right now. It's basically the counter for where I am right now. But things don't pan out too well, so we decide that I have to eventually come back. But for the time being, I'm just kind of holding my own up here, just stopping them from being able to flank around in this sort of alleyway. If anyone comes up this road, I've got them, obviously. It's quite a strategic point that I want. As you can see, I get the odd shot off here, leading to a couple of shots here. I do spot these guys and keep them spotted, so I am getting assistance damage, obviously, for the other tanks that are on that corner. And I'm still kind of like looking at this other tank up here, just wondering I could get another snapshot across here on the other tank crossing. So the tank destroyers are going down there. At this point I'm kind of hesitant, wondering, looking back at my friends who was on that corner, wondering who's going to kind of win that engagement and whether I need to be up there kind of helping them. You can see how I keep kind of like looking over and kind of falling back. That's me kind of being hesitant, as I said. I wasn't too sure whether we were going to win this, and the scores at the moment are looking pretty grim. In our favour, we're starting to improve, but our artillery becomes godlike and absolutely destroys people on the corner, and I realise it's clear, so I turn around, realising we have quite a big threat coming across the middle of the valley, and I stop on this corner, and this is where it starts to get quite intense. So I spot this, well, I don't spot him, but I get some shots off. Initially that's auto aim, so I have to kind of come off the auto aim and just sort of try and fire blind there, and hopefully that hit. Now I'll get kind of unlucky with these shots, like people kind of die before me, which is quite unusual, but then I see these Stood come on the corner after my T28 friend, and I don't really know, I think the first shot bounced off the lower plate, but then I get the second shot off, leading to me being able to quickly get the auto aim again on. I do fire a shot there, which misses because he's obviously moving, and it's quite chancy, but you never know. And when he stops, you can see he turns, so I managed to get the auto aimed shot to be dead straight, and it hits him. Now I managed to auto aim into the cap and get a really lucky snapshot straight into the cap to reset, which becomes pivotal in the game later on. And the artillery is taking punches for me here as I engage this Hetzer, I believe, down in the valley. He's not actually facing me, but I start to kind of engage him. As I say, the artillery, I think it's a left, is raining shells down on me, but I keep engaging him. I probably could poke out and give him another shot, but I keep getting whittled down here. I notice there's a tank up again, back up on this corner, which is quite dodgy. I get really lucky there as I kind of drive up the slope. I manage to get a shot, and it does connect, and we do a little bit of damage up there to the M7. So right now I'm kind of breathing for a second. Well, obviously I say breathing, but we've got our friends now being engaged behind us, so we're now going to try and race up. Luckily for us, our friend actually manages to get the kill right there, and manages to keep the game going for us, and we decide to progress forwards. We are with the Russian tank destroyer we have coming here. So yeah, I decide this is where I need to start playing a little bit more sort of sneaky. I don't really want to come up from obvious locations, as I said, because we know they're in the valley, and I want to kind of surprise them with where we're going to pop up from next. Initially I wanted to push on, try and see if I could just take out the artillery, because I know it's a left, and the rate of fire is quite a big advantage for him, so I really want to go and take him out. But I notice our friends going straight down into the cap to try and take out someone over there. But I believe he's going for the Stug, but he doesn't realise there's some guy who's just entered the cap circle. Maybe he's zoomed in, I'm not sure, but he doesn't spot him, but we do, and we managed to get a shot off and kill the guy in the cap circle. That was quite a lucky snapshot. Again, I used the auto aim feature just to obviously using the left click over the outline of the tank, and just to get the. I find sometimes it helps with like the way that the game aims in quickly. It seems to aim sometimes like if you're just sniping without it, it seems sometimes it'd be better to kind of auto aim on and then sort of click off and then sort of adjust your aim to be more precise sometimes. I find it just kind of zooms in your reticle a little bit quicker. I don't know why, it just seems to. Right now, I'm noticing, obviously I'm one of the last people alive with my artillery, and my aim right here is I want to get back and try and help our artillery, because there's obviously tanks progressing in his location. He's calling for help and he wants me to get back there. You can see now we've got the tanks popping up in the minimap, starting to surround him, and I'm taking quite a long route back, but that's just because I want to make sure that no one's managing to flank me or been able to take advantage of the spots that I'm going to use up here. So initially I come down wondering where the I believe it's only the German tank destroyer, quite a low tier German tank destroyer. I kind of worry about him though, because I don't really want to lose any health, because they're still not, the game's not in the bag yet, so I come down expecting to maybe see if I can spot him coming over one of these bridge lines, but I actually find him around the corner of the rock eventually, because our artillery lights him up for us. Again, I was probably been a little bit too protective here of my health. I could have probably gone in a little bit quicker and maybe saved the artillery, but I tried, and well, I don't think I could have saved him from both the tanks, but I managed to take out the first tank on the corner, and this is where I start having to kind of like duke things. I think about popping back out here, and I decide he's going to expect me coming around this corner, so I'm gonna see if I can get a better shot if I come round the other way. You can see I avoid the trees just to make sure there's no giveaway that I'm coming around, and just managed to duck in time before I'm on the edge of the rock to ensure I come around the corner. And as you can see, we light him up there. I managed to get a shot in and he misses his. I tried to fire another one here, but it managed to take the dirt in front of him, and I hang around a little bit too long. I should have known I shouldn't have traded shots with this guy. He gets a shot from me there, and it makes it a bit more interesting. We're now both one shots for each other. So I decide I'm going to go and I want to get him out of that location. I don't want to really fight when he's like that, so I come back under the rock and I kind of make him think I'm going to come back out from the other side. I pull back from the rock here just to make sure that if he's obviously coming up towards the rock, he can't proxy what I'm doing and find where I am and kind of catch me off guard. So I come back onto the corner as quickly as I can, and lo and behold, he has pulled up into the open, and I snapshot him. I missed the first shot, and then he misses his. It takes me a while to realise that he fired, and I kind of pop around the corner, and I managed to take a kill. The artillery again takes a shot from me, and misses, which I'm really lucky that the artillery didn't actually hit me this game. There's been a couple of times, but if you've paid attention, I don't know if you noticed, but the cap's been slowly being capped by the Matilda, I believe. And the Matilda's not, for the gun on the T24, the Matilda can not be trouble, but you need to kind of get round the sides or the rear of the tank to be able to reliably pen it. I mean, if he's hull down in some locations, sometimes you're not gonna be able to do much about it. So I decide to kind of think. I've got a couple of minutes to play with here to decide whereabouts to come from. And initially I'm thinking about, is it better for me to take out the artillery right now, as he can fire for 2 seconds, and he has shown, obviously he's got an interest in killing me. So it could be worth my while taking out the artillery first if I have enough time, and I decide to kind of see how far I can get without kind of like risking it too much but being too far away from the cap circle. And eventually I decide against it and think I need to just kind of work out whereabouts he is in the cap circle, so I can kind of plan a better attack and find a route to be able to maybe get him out of the cap circle or catch him out. So I come over to the side hoping to spot him. As you can see, I'm really cautious because I'm still a one shot. I believe he's a one shot for me as well, so it's kind of still to the wire here. It's still very easily lost. We don't have any artillery support, as that was wasted earlier. But I managed to spot him on the corner, but I don't hang around to engage because I don't really want to play that sort of engagement, because obviously the artillery nearly gets me again there. I don't really want to make it so that that's where I want the engagement to happen. I want to kind of pick a better place to come from. So I tried to make him think that I'm going to come round from the other side, like as he was kind of on that corner, that I was going to come round so I would have his flank. But I guess I was still spotted when I came around the corner, so he's kind of preempting that I'm going to come down one of these slopes. So I decide to think again about the artillery. As you see, I'm heading off. You can see I kind of look in the direction thinking if he's in that upper location, I might spot him by now, but I realise the cap needs to be decapped, and so I move in really slowly around this corner, using these bushes to kind of keep my camera rating up slightly. just to see, like, I know now that he's not in this half of the cap because I would have spotted him coming around that corner. So I decided to take the risk and kind of run across this open field. It's kind of risky with the artillery. I mean, if he spotted me, but I managed to get into the depression and come around the corner. I'm really mindful, as you can see on the minimap, that the white ring around me for the proxy detection doesn't ping him off, let him know that I come around the corner. And as we know, this tank's epic for snapshots, so we see you come around the corner and he's there, snapshotted, and there we go. The cap reset. It's now just me and the artillery for the game. But if you've watched any of my other replays, you'll know that, to be honest, I am not the cleanest of players. I always like to make a challenge for myself at the end of the day. I'm not. I try to do things in a clean manner, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. So I make another bit of a pig's ear of this, but I come up here. I know the artillery's been watching me come up this slope, so I decide to try and change my angle to kind of again try and confuse him. It's something that I find is really quite helpful. Is this confusion sort of tactic is kind of playing to your advantage to kind of make people face the wrong way and catch them off guard. And I know I've got the mobility in this tank to be able to get round using the slopes and things like that to be able to get up in time, because obviously there's only 2 minutes left on the game, so I can't really afford to hang about and cap. So I decided to come up around this ledge. Now this was again quite lucky. If I was any closer to the mound right there, I think I probably would have proxied and he would have proxied me. But he's actually just on the other half of this mound, around this corner. I know spoilers there, but it's kind of quite interesting what happens here. So I come out the corner. Obviously I'm mindful I've had many games where I've come out of corners in artillery and it's just sort of ended badly, but I come around up to this point and you see suddenly we spot him. Like, luckily I was looking that way and we spot him right there. And I do have a high explosive loaded because I can't remember. I think I was going to try and use the high explosive for the artillery, but then I get really unlucky with my shots, and the first shot obviously is just a low roll, it doesn't pen, because I'm shooting the back of the tank. I should be shooting the turret, but it bounces again, and I disengage the auto aim and I try to get around behind him, misjudging the turn, and I think maybe I can just stop him from turning around by doing, just by holding there, but he continues to turn, so I have to kind of wedge my tank up against him. But now I've loaded normal AP rounds and he's done. Anyway, that was the T24 carry. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please rate, comment, subscribe, and take it easy. Catch you in a bit.